Yeah, Lightwalker here to show you some pictures and video of a hike I did on May 4th, 2017 around Ragged Mountain. I've got a map right there at the trail entrance, and I'll show you in this little animation where we hiked. We took the red and blue trail up to the blue and white trail. And you continue straight on that and basically continue on the Metacomet Trail, one of the blue trails in Connecticut, which actually goes right across the ridge as well, the mountain. Around the lake there, the reservoir, and we get on Andrews Road, and then you go by Wassel Reservoir. Got some beautiful pictures there. Then you get on a entrance trail. It's no more than a half mile. Brings you right up to the ridge. Got some great photos of that. Brings you to the trail brings you to the southern tip, and you continue on the blue and red trail to the white and blue trail, I believe. When you basically continue straight back to where we started. You can see the temperature was a perfect 65 degrees, low humidity. It was definitely a top 10 day. Had to get out and take advantage of this weather. You can see there's plenty of parking to the right of the trail, also plenty to the left of the trail. One day I swear I saw about 50 cars up and down that road, so in theory you'll never run out of parking spaces there. There's some nice signage put up by the preserve themselves. The top is kind of faded, could use some work, but the bottom has an up-to-date map, which I showed you a picture of before. Okay, on the red and blue trail, show you how wide it is at the start. You can actually drive a bus across that trail. It's so wide. A log just showed up there. Wasn't there a few weeks ago. I don't know how it got there. I don't know if it was a warning or what. But I did see a black snake further down, so maybe that was the warning. Black snake was about a half mile further. A little creek that's probably going to be dry in a couple weeks. Then you start going up some rocky terrain. Still not very challenging, maybe a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. And at the top, some beautiful views of the top of the the white and blue trail. And basically intersect the Metacomet Trail there. A nice sign, thanks to the Ragged Mountain Preserve. Another 1.5 miles to Andrews Street. At this point, we've gone 1.2 miles total. Just about a half an hour. At that point, we cut across these power lines. Nothing too spectacular to look at. And we continue on some beautiful trail heading toward Andrews Street. This section is just beautiful and peaceful. Not too many hikers ever go on this trail, so it's on most days you got it pretty much to yourself. There's a picture of the reservoir from the top of that trail. Just absolute scenery any day of the year up here. Saw a whole bunch of large predator birds up there take off, about a half dozen. I wish I had another GoPro. You would have caught it, but it was too late for me to break out the camera. Here's a panoramic video of the view from up there. See, the reservoir is starting to fill up again. Still need a lot more rain to fill it up, though. Still in a drought situation here in central Connecticut. At that point, you're in a deciduous forest. You continue up the slight elevation for about the next half mile. Just beautiful scenery, beautiful pine, hemlock forest there. Few ups and downs, but nothing very challenging. No worse than a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. Another beautiful viewpoint coming out here. Looking at the Wassel Reservoir, I believe. Some video of it. Actually, that was a Shuttle Metal Reservoir. To the left is the Wassel Reservoir, which will come into focus after we get off the when we go back up the mountain. Trees are just starting to come into bloom here. Early May. Here's some video showing you how steep the cliff is. It's probably a good 80 to 100 feet deep in sections. I've got some photos coming up from the base. You don't want to step much further to the ledge than this, so you'll fall off. Proceed with caution from here down. This is a really steep section of the trail. You definitely could use a buddy if you're prone to falling. I wouldn't recommend it at all. Just turn around and be glad that you had a nice maybe 5.5 mile hike, 6 miles tops. Because at this point we've gone 2.7 miles, and it's a steep descent, short descent, but steep to the plateau below. And that just picture doesn't do it justice, but that kind of shows you how steep it gets. And you can see how some of the beautiful ledges from the bottom. Don't worry, we didn't come down that, but that's a view looking to the east. This is one of the beautiful rock climbing areas. If climbing's allowed, that would be an awesome crevice to climb up. There's a boulder at the bottom. It looks like the blue blaze goes right over it. Actually, what you do is you take a right when you get to the boulder, because once you, trust me, I was on the top of that boulder, and there's no way down unless you have some climbing gear. Here's a view looking down the trail to the right. We're actually going to go left. And there's a view looking back at the boulder. See how large it is compared to the cliff. It's a good 20, 30 feet tall boulder. And here's a view of the beautiful forest, softwood forest heading toward Andrew Street. Just beautiful trail here. Very well maintained. Back through some hemlocks. Cross a little gravel road, but this is chained off, so you're not going to have any cars coming through here. It's beautiful, well-maintained forest. Look at that. Hardly a tree, or can't really see more than 1 or 2 trees falling down there. You get out on Andrew Street here. Here's a view overlooking the orchard, one of the houses, I guess, one of the owners of the orchard, I'm guessing. At this point, we've gone 3.3 miles in about an hour and a half. And these orchards seem to go on for miles and miles, so I had to get a picture of it. Again, the picture doesn't do it justice. There is a beautiful home looking east. I don't know who owns it, but it's even more spectacular on the other side. I've got a picture of it from the ridge, and it must be a multi-million-dollar home. It certainly has a multi-million-dollar view. There's a sign to the right of Andrews Road, actually west of it. I'm not sure what that's about, but there's a big dollar number at the bottom, a $4 million loan. And I don't know who lives here, but that's one of the fanciest address signs I've ever seen in my life. Makes you think we're in Beverly Hills or somewhere more spectacular. Here's a view of Red Rock, Ragged Mountain actually, the Red Rock climbing area from Andrew Street. This is a rare picture because you can't stop there if you're driving a car. The only way you can get this video or these footage is from hiking, and that's just one of my best pictures ever on a top 10 day. Some video of the reservoir, the dam at the reservoir. Some close-up of the red rocks. Quite often you'll see climbers up there. Climbing is allowed, but you need ropes for sure. Just a beautiful, gorgeous day. And here's a little memorial at the base of it. It's a cannon on, actually an anchor on the left with a plaque in front of it. I got a close-up coming up if you want to read what it's about. And in the center, there's another large plaque. It looks like it may be a gravestone, actually. I got a close-up of the inscription. Looks like a memorial to David Wassell. Maybe who the reservoir is named after, Wassell Reservoir. Some video of some Canadian geese. They're pretty much standing still there, enjoying the nice weather. It's a beautiful picture too. Some beautiful residences along this road. I think that's forgot forgot the name of that road. It's might be called Reservoir Road. No, it's not Reservoir Road. It's got the name Reservoir in it. But anyway, we go by Carabin Farms. Not only do they have plants and vegetables, but they have locally made honey and maple syrup as well. At this point, we've gone 4.6 miles. We're back at the trailhead, which is going to be on your left. It's not well mapped, so you have to look for the blue paint. And shortly into it, you actually see that pond to the left where that beautiful house has a beachfront view of the pond. Beautifully maintained trails heading up from here to the ridge. Old rock wall indicating this was most likely once all farmland. This is your first view of the boulders at the base of the cliff. Actually, at the turn of the century, 80% of Connecticut was farmland. Now it's probably around 10%, if that. Close-up of the large boulders. And the rock climbing cliff, which is just a little bit further down from the, I call them the steps, the stairway to the ridge. Yeah, there's an awesome set of steps. I forgot the gentleman's name that built these, or the group's name, but well done. About 100 steps leading right up to the ridge. Here's the last part of it. 100's exaggerating, maybe 50. And you're on the ridge finally, back in the Metacomet Trail. We've gone 5.1 miles in about 2 hours 20 minutes. And here's the view from up here. If you take a quick sharp left, I just went on that, took a left to take these pictures and video for you. The Wassail Reservoir, where we just were, and that pond where we just were. Walked around, and that house by the pond with $1 million view. And in the distance is Castle Craig with the radio antennas. Yes, there's a house with $1 million view. Don't want to get too zoomed in there out of respect for their privacy, but that's just a beautiful lot. One of the nicest I've seen in the whole town. And there's a close-up of Castle Craig centered, and the radio towers to the right, and I forgot what the name of the peak is to the left there, but there's a name. And here's one of the steeper sections. You got to climb around this small cliff to get to the southernmost point there. You go by a mountain lake, which is probably going to be dry in a couple weeks from now. You go down a little bit and up a little bit. This is a little challenging at times. It's probably about a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. So if you're not, if you're afraid of heights or don't have good knees, stop here and turn around. Choose looking down how steep some part of it is. There's me, the camera. You finally get to the southern tip of Ragged Mountain. Probably see why you call it ragged. The rocks are all raggedy. And that's the Southington Valley straight ahead. There's Castle Craig and the radio control tower there, antennas. Close-up of the castle, and I think that might be called West Point. Not West Point, New York, but West Point of that range. At this point, we've gone 5.4 miles in just over 2.5 hours. Some video from up there. A vantage point coming down, actually looking toward Berlin and then south toward Meriden. Excuse me. Actually, this is a 270-degree view. Just beautiful. It's actually from the southern tip of Ragged Mountain. Pardon me, that would be the southern tip. There's a memorial. I go by here and say a prayer for the young man that died up here, I believe some 20, 30 years ago. Young man, I think in his, he was a young man, maybe in his upper 20s, lower 30s. Mr. Darren Finley there. And there's me. Good time for a shadow pose. Conquer the mountain. And there's a view looking at a reservoir looking east toward Berlin. And you start coming down here, it gets kind of not really steep, but just very rocky and a gradually downward slope, and some more beautiful viewpoints along this part of the trail. Looking back again towards Castle Craig South. Here's some video of that, and areas overlooking Berlin, and probably Kensington beyond that. And it just shows you that the trail's a little rocky in places. Just give you a little bit of flavor what that part of the trail is like. Well marked. Here's probably one of the steeper parts. Goes up maybe about 15-20 feet, then gradually descends from there. And this is pretty cool. There's a rock wedged between two slabs in the distance. Makes you wonder how it got there. And you can see how rocky it is coming down. This was all part of a giant lava flow, from what I was told, that occurred over 500,000 years ago, carved out by the Ice Age. So that's how the whole ridge was formed. Lots of ridges in Connecticut were formed like that. And at this point, we are 6.3 miles into the trip at another trailhead, and we're just going to continue straight to the lot. A few more viewpoints here. They're looking toward east toward Berlin, looking south toward Meriden. East toward Berlin and Kensington. And back down the trail. It gets pretty wide in places. You could see you could probably drive a bus through here if you had one. Just beautiful trees just coming into bloom here. And so far, All Trails app says we've gone 7 miles. It takes a while to fully calibrate the trip. Later on, it said 6.9 miles. Looks like 3 hours and 20 minutes. Elevation, there it is, 6.9 miles. Elevation of, I believe that says 901 feet. Moving for 2 hours 20 minutes. Actually, 2 hours 29 minutes. You can see the elevation down below. That's why I love this app. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.